أعزائي المشاهدين، كما عودناكم في برنامجكم الأسبوعي برنامج إماراتي، نستضيف لكم خيرة من دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة. ولهذا الأسبوع نستضيف السيد ديريك، المدير التنفيذي والمؤسس لشركة يلا ليميتد في إمارات دبي. Good afternoon, Mr. Derek.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, good. What about you?
Alhamdulillah, very good. Very
That's
good.
great.
Yeah.
Let us to know who is Derek.
Yeah, I mean, came to UAE. I came to Dubai around 15 years ago, and I lived also in Abu Dhabi for several years. I came to Dubai originally to set up a recruitment company. Came all the way from Brazil, and I lived around into 20 to 30 countries. I'm originally Dutch, so from Europe, but I was born in Curacao, which is a small island in the Caribbean, which belongs to the Netherlands. So I'm one of the only people from Curacao, I think, in whole UAE, so that is rather nice, I think. And so I came here, and then after my setting up a recruitment company, I started to work for different real estate developers. For example, Kingdom Holding, which was Prince Al Walid bin Talal's company, which owns Four Seasons, Fairmont, Raffles, Mövenpick, all those hotel brands. And I was responsible for their sales department. And then I worked after that for Al Barari. Al Barari, the project here in Dubai, which everybody who is from UAE or has been here knows, which is a focus on nature and beautiful villas and beautiful resort. And one of the best places, I think, still to live, because it's all about nature and about happiness. And then after that, I worked for Sheikh Saif bin Khalifa Al Nahyan's company, which is called Bloom Holding, Bloom Properties. I made his property arm much larger, increasing the turnover through sales and marketing and PR strategies.
That's great.
And then after that, I did my some smaller projects, for example, in Jumeirah Golf Estates, which is called Jumeirah Luxury. And then at a certain point, I started to be interested into technologies, because with Corona, people had time to look at other things, and there was not a lot of activity in real estate at that time. So I started to be interested in digital currencies, in metaverse, in biometrics, in all kinds of technologies. So then I focused on the technologies which I am still involved in now. So now I'm combining technology with real estate.
That's great.
And then mainly focused on metaverse and on real experiences, because during Corona I had time also to think about myself also, and to think about others. So what do people really need? People need technology not to only earn money or to raise really big money, which happened a lot, but for the convenience and to improve your life and other people's life, and efficiency and effectiveness and seamless. And also people need more spiritual easiness, connection to the spirit, to comfortable life, to happiness. So then comes in the consciousness of all these metaverses and technologies and real estate. So these are the 2 points I have been focusing on the last, let's say, years. And then also when Corona finished, I started to speak about this on stage. So that became my hobby, public speaker.
Mr. Derek, how we can support the people who stay in Dubai or out of Dubai?
Yeah, I believe that first of all, Abu Dhabi and Dubai has proven itself a lot. And I think that Dubai and Abu Dhabi has really has everything for everyone.
Right.
And to move here now is much more easier than before, because before it was seen as a different world. And now you have all cultures, you can see it in the food variety. I think you have the most food variety in UAE than anywhere in the world. And it's very easy now to move here. Before it was more difficult, right? And now it's really easy. But if you move here, you always have to prepare, right? So how do you have to prepare? If you want to, for example, have your businesses here, then you need to know if you want to be, for example, if you have a financial business, you want to be in the DIFC or you want to be in ADGM in Abu Dhabi, you have to have the right choice. And also it depends on your situation yourself, if you have a family or if you're single or if you have only a wife or if you have kids or not. So you also about the area and what is your focus and what do you want from your life. I think if you live here a long time in the UAE, then you start to appreciate, for example, Al Ain and Abu Dhabi a lot more than when you just knew. Then you think, oh, Dubai is the best, right? Because then you understand why a lot of Emiratis also like Al Ain and Abu Dhabi
and Ajman, we talk
and Ajman, exactly, because there is a lot of beautiful things there which you don't really discover if you only live in Dubai, right?
You have 7 Emirates.
Yeah, so that is really even in Fujairah, I mean, what they're doing there now, I really love. Also, I've been many times to, for example, to meditation retreat in Fujairah, right, which was amazing, and I really enjoyed it.
Yalla property and technologies, the services you are providing for the people who are staying in UAE or out of UAE, let us to know.
So Yalla Properties Technologies, the main business is that I help people. So I'm doing a consultancy of integrating technologies, especially into real estate. So parallel virtual twins and triplets. So what does it mean? So you have, for example, your real estate project, right? And then there is a real physical world. Then we create a parallel virtual twin. So what does it mean? An exact copy of your real world in the metaverse or in the technology, right? So, and then you have a triplet, which is a third world, which is also digital, which is the gamification. I'm not gonna talk a lot about the triplet because I believe almost everyone is doing that, and it's a real boom, right?
Right.
I'm talking the connection between the real world and the digital world. So, for example, if you change something in the real world, it will change in the digital world.
Automatically, right.
And if you change it in the digital world, it changes in the real world. Of course, there's a lack of time, because if you change something in the digital world, it's immediate. But it gives the order to be changed in the real world. So it's always be as much as possible in parallel. So why is this an advantage? Because, for example, if you have the digital world, right, and you want to change something in the real world, first in the digital world you can see how these changes will look like in the future. That's number one. Number two, for example, if you want to change, if something breaks in the real world, you can click on the digital world, and that item is connected with the real world. So the digital knows where the item is. The digital world knows where this item was produced. The digital world knows how this item can go fastest to that location. The digital world knows the location of that item.
Wow.
The digital world knows the size, the color of the item, where the material. So it knows everything. So all this information you don't need to will not be alterated and will not change, and this information will be sent directly to the producer of that, for example, that table, that towel, that couch, or whatever
you are looking for.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be at home, because they know the location, they know where it's located. They even know the grinding. If you, for example, change the towel, the grinding of the towel, which color it is.
Wow.
Because imagine you put a towel and put the wrong grinding. You already have something really ugly, right?
Right.
And these are really small things which are really important. And also effectiveness and efficiency. And also not only on the time will be reduced and the precision will be better, but also what will be amazing is that the price will be lower, because, or it will be the same price but with the right provider, and the right the lead time will be much less, right? So these are really cool stuff. And on top of that, you can also start to create data. So what does it mean? So through this metaverse, you can see what is the demand from the people, where they want to click on the metaverse. And also you can go even, and with this data you can do AI learning, you can do improve the whole experience at home physically and the experience in a digital world. And of course the digital world also helps if you want to do digital meetings, if you want to meet people in the digital world and not only in the physical world, but you can also do it at the same time. So for example, I just had a wedding in Spain with one of my best friends last week. And he got married, and then what happens? Of course, there were people on Skype, there were people on Zoom, there were like 5 cameras all around, because not everybody could join, because he is also from Curacao and she's from Venezuela, but they got married in Spain. So some people were physically there, but some other people were there with Skype or with Zoom. And then with the metaverse, it's even nicer because you can make your own avatar of yourself, and then you can really join the wedding. Of course, the technology has to be advanced, because if you talk about, for example, Unreal Player 6, which is a program software that you can do metaverse, then you can only, let's say, go up to 500 people at this moment, right? Because of the speed there is. So, but this is all improving. So imagine that you have your wedding, or that you have your party, or that you have a party even in let's say in a nightclub or in a restaurant or wherever, that you have that party, but people can participate remotely also, and it can be with their avatar, can be only with camera, can be only with voice, can be all with this.
That's all selection they can find
Yeah.
it. And how you see the people who stay in United Arab Emirates? They has accept that very easy when you are tell them about it?
Yes, I believe that of course UAE is, I mean, that's proven one of the pioneers of adaptability. Because every time you see in the past, when the internet came out, UAE was like adopting. When the real estate boom came, UAE was adopting. When now, for example, with the technology, they're doing everything to make it as easier as possible for the people who are come from outside to set up their base. There are many big companies who already have a presence or even have their head office here in the latest technologies. But what I also like is that the regulation of all these companies and all these new technologies or new businesses or new fields is they adopt the regulation towards those technologies, right?
Wow.
It means not that people think, oh, in UAE everything is possible. No, I'm not saying that. It's good regulation for that specific purpose, right? Like, for example, in DIFC or in ADGM, I think they're really advanced with their regulation on, for example, digital assets, or for example, digital currencies, or for example, the Vera with their metaverse, which just came out a few weeks ago. So these are things which don't happen in other countries. There are some countries which try and also succeeded in their way, but you see that the scalability and adaptability of UAE has been proven in the past and has been proven again with the new technologies. And they're already jumping now on, for example, metaverse, which nobody is in the rest of the world. So I see that that is the advantage of UAE, that they really try to help the entrepreneur or the businesses or even large corporates to have their presence in. Besides that, UAE, of course, is the hub to Asia and Africa. And
right.
I mean, that is old news, let's say.
From your experience, Mr. Derek, if you have today advice for the people who are planned to come to United Arab Emirates after the expo, you know, many people, they has their own vision to come to visit UAE and to stay, to live with their family or to invest. What's your advice from 15 years back to today?
Yes. I think that if you want to move here or invest here or build your business here, you first have to come and explore, right? And you should also have local people who have been here a long time or people who are from here to have as your, let's say, advisor that can be paid, can be a friend, can be people who know what is going on. Because there are a lot of people also want to take advantage of new people, right? Which is in every country the case. So I advise that you really, first of all, select where you want to live, because it's very diverse. You have in UAE everything for anyone, right? Then also regulation. You should take a look at regulation. For example, I have companies around the world, right? And there are certain things I don't do here in UAE because I'm not regulated on that specific subject, right? But on other things, you have to really follow the rules, and you really have to follow the steps, right? And it's not that difficult if you have somebody who can advise you and who can help you. And I advise to have a trusted 2 or 3 trusted persons here. Try to find those. It can be a lawyer and a friend and a local, let's say, who has his experience here for many years. And then the other thing is what I advise, don't go too fast. Because a lot of people come here, they think, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money and this and that. And then they get stuck.
Right.
Because they didn't prepare themselves for the success, right? So you have to just take it easy. Of course, you can be very successful really fast in UAE. I think you can be most successful, fastest successful than any other country, and financially you can benefit a lot from it. But you have to be prepared also for the success.
Right.
And have it in the right way. And also, when you have this success, don't spend it all. Just invest it wisely, and don't only spend it. Because you see also a lot of people get the new wealth, and then they suddenly, let's say, only go out and show their wealth. I would prefer to say, like, to those people, like, at least 50% reinvest into the UAE, for example. And there's many businesses people forget about. It's not only about real estate or about the port, for example, which is one of the big businesses in Dubai, for example. There's many businesses you can invest in. For example, let's say food. Food is big business.
Oil, gas,
logistics.
Logistics, right.
I mean, there's so many businesses people forget about. So I would advise to the people who also come here, and when they start earning money, to diversify.
Right. Can we have your website for the people for who they are interested to contact you or to have your advice?
Yes, I have several websites, and several websites belong to different companies all around the world. Mm-hmm. But the most easy to find me is at Instagram, which is D Hoegenkamp, so DHOOGENKAMP. And there you also see my interviews when I'm on stage. Right, because I love speaking on stage, as you know, and even this coming weeks I will be speaking at several events here, financial events, digital currency events, and I really like it. So I think that is the best place to find more, also about my companies around the world, and of course my base and my core in my heart is here in UAE.
Mr. Derek, did you read the book for His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid when he mentioned in my vision book, we have always to be number one. It is not easy to be number one, but the hard things to continue.
Yeah.
What you will say?
I say I agree. So you keep pushing because your whole life is about up and downs, right? And you have to keep going, and you you have to be focused, you have to be honest, you have to be straightforward, you have to be ethical. And you have to adopt on all these fields. And I think if you all do this and be able to adopt quick enough, like for example, the ruler of UAE is adopting super fast of any other country in the world, right? It's amazing. So he shows on many fields, he shows a good guideline for people in their life if they want to be successful. So that I think is, I have a lot of respect for that. And I think that is also a good vision for people who want to move to UAE, that you can do anything. It's not like the American dream, no, it's reality. It's not a dream, it's reality. And that's what I like. And you can do whatever you want here if you are following the right path. And he is showing the path, and you have the possibility to follow that path. So that is, I think, amazing. And I'm sure that even the vision of 2030, 2050, 40, that will all come true because he proven it in the past.
Right.
And also the let's say the rest of the people who will come after him will also follow his path, because you see generation after generation already. Now it's already 50 years, right? 50 years that you see how the improvement has come from an airline to shipping, biggest port, to everything is there, right? And the proof is in the pudding, as they say in UK, right? So I think that is really unbelievable, and that reflects also in his book of all these generations and all these things we just have been proven, because I like to also do business on facts and not business on only virtual world, let's say. Wow. That's why I like the parallel twin of the real world and the virtual world, because only virtual world is all fantasy, right? It needs to be connecting to the real world. Because a lot of politicians also, they just talk and they promise, but they don't act.
Nothing happened, right?
But you have to have a vision, which he did, and he completed. Next vision. Boom, boom, boom.
And what's your next vision, next 5 years, where we will see Derek?
Yes. I will have real estate projects and other asset projects like planes, cruise ships, boats, all these kind of things connected with the metaverse and also connected with consciousness and health and happiness. And it will be mainly also much more sustainable and much more effective than anything else. And I see myself improving the world and with a base in UAE. And also hopefully soon also projects here again in the UAE.
Inshallah.
Hopefully.
How you see the African markets at the moment?
Africa, of course, is land of opportunity. I believe that of course, Dubai is the hub for Africa. I mean, let's take Ghana, which is a really advanced country, like Accra, which is one of the main cities there. Or let's take other places where I lived, for example, myself in Tanzania. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been. I mean, nature-wise, and I see Africa is very diverse, and there's many like Egypt or Morocco or South Africa or Ghana or Tanzania are completely different countries and completely different cultures.
Cultures, right?
But I see that Dubai is really the hub for whole Africa, right? Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It depends on which business, right?
To contact, right?
And I believe that if you want to work in Africa, it would be good to have a global office in the UAE to work in the rest of Africa. Because I live there myself, I understand a little bit how it works there. And also, you cannot do, if you are from, let's say, UAE, or if you're from Europe, or if you're from the West, or from the East, it's not easy to live there 365 days, right? So you need also a place to reflect and, right, and to see the helicopter view of what you're doing. Because same if you're in UAE, sometimes it's good to go on holiday, relax in, let's say, the Seychelles or wherever you want, sometimes, and then reflect again.
Challenge.
Yeah, and challenge yourself and come up with new creative ideas.
Right.
And I think Africa is absolutely a future, and it's proven. And it's one of the only countries which have also a lot of access still to resources and to nature and to different kind of experiences which you don't have in the rest of the world.
Did you visit Expo 2020, and what's your experience there? It was?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when Expo 2020, I was like, oh, it's just marketing, this and that. I was like, okay, whatever, right? And then I was like really visiting it. I was really surprised. I mean, it was amazing. Of course, I had my preferences on certain pavilions, but I really loved it. And I think you also got a really good vision of the vision of the countries and what the countries were good at, and what the countries provide. And what I liked a lot also, that all the cultures came together. So, for example, I was in the pavilion of Monaco. I had the event in the pavilion of Monaco. And then I walked out and I saw an African dance in front of an African pavilion, and then you start to interact with them. Then I went with those guys. We went to the UAE pavilion, then we had some UAE guys, then we went to a virtual reality show in Belgium about virtual reality and VR mask, and we were all together. So that's what I liked of Expo, that you really, what UAE stands for, like all the countries come together in one place with the latest technology, showing their technology. Same as UAE, there are so many cultures and nationalities here, and they all come together and they try to do the best, right?
Right.
And Expo was the perfect example of that, right?
More than 200 nationalities, it's a big number. Mr. Derek, can we know who's behind you, who's your backbone, who supports you always to be a successful businessman?
That's my father. He's unfortunately in heaven, but that has been my inspiration and still is my inspiration, and will always be my inspiration. And my other backbone is that people I've been working with for a long time, and which I built trust with, which are people here in UAE, which are people in Europe and in Asia. And I think that besides that, it's a higher power also which supports. I think if you're a good person, then your higher power will support you.
Right.
And I think that you also need some time to reflect on yourself. So that means that you have to also sometimes sit back, like for example, what is really good here, that you have time to pray.
Right.
And reflect on yourself. And that's why I think that those are the ones who are supporting me. So it's my father, higher power, and friends who I have proven to and they have proven to me. So these are the ones who are supporting me.
How you manage your time as a successful businessman between UAE and out of UAE with many busy meetings and busy days? How you manage your time?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because the only thing humans don't have is unlimited time.
Right. Really.
That's why the name Yalla Limited also comes from, because it's not everything is limited, especially time. And I mean, how do I manage it? It's very difficult, because also in the UAE, you always can meet people and you always can be busy.
Right.
And then I come back again to the same. You have to take some time for yourself. Sometimes I catch myself that I'm running too much, and you have to maybe dedicate a little bit more on your, let's say, pray, or on your meditation, or on your, or maybe go out to Hatta, let's say Hatta Mountains,
Hatta,
to relax a little bit,
yeah, right.
or to Fujairah to go fishing, or something like this, right? Or to the desert in Abu Dhabi, or so you have to do that, because otherwise. And that means that you have to also sometimes take time for yourself, because if you want to only do business and go, which is possible in Dubai and Abu Dhabi,
right.
you will lose your health and your creativity and your
You are right.
your happiness. No?
We say always thanks to Allah for what He gave us in UAE, more than 213 nationality, 156 language, more than 100 culture. We support each other, we respect each other also, because we live, and that's what we know in this country.
Yes.
Our leaders, they support us with many things. The more important, the smart government, which make our time more easy and safe. We would like to give them a thanks message from your side for the UAE government and leaders for their support. Anyone who can come and live and visit this country and to invest in this country also. What's your message today, Mr. Derek, to the UAE leaders and government?
Yeah, I believe that the UAE leaders and government are doing a great job, and I think they should continue supporting the people which they do in good and bad times. And I believe that it is for the people who are coming here new or coming back. There's also people who left and then
Right,
miss
many people
UAE
come
and
back,
come
yeah,
back. Also, I like just let's continue like the way we've been going in the last, I mean, I've been here 15 years, so for me it's 15 years here. And let's also learn from the past, and let's also implement all the good things we learned in the past for the future. And I have trust in that, and I think that it's very difficult to find a place like UAE anywhere on this planet, and it is really good to have a good leadership which is so flexible, effective, efficient, and seamless. And so I would just say keep going as we're going, and let's make the best out of it, and keep respecting the higher power. And let's do it. I mean, I think that is the best you can do, and everybody is, I believe, welcome here.
Right.
And all together we can make the UAE an example for the rest of the world.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Mr. Derek,
Thank
for
you.
your time to be with Emirati program. We wish for you, inshallah, more success and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shukran. Thank you.